Good to have you here at 3 and Out on this Wednesday. Kevin Thomas. It is. Are you messing with me over what day it is? It's Wednesday. It's a day that ends in Y. We'll go with that. We are here in studio. It's like Groundhog Day all over again. Here, except I'm with Christian today and no BJ or Ben. So I guess it is Wednesday again. Here on 3 and Out. A lot to get to here on the show. We'll chat with Sean Quinn, talk a little football with him, Savannah State head football coach, also Aaron Kelly, former Clemson and NFL college football or Canadian Football League wide receiver. He will join us here on the show as well. So, Christian, Wednesday, Kevin. Good to have you.
It sure is. Is it?
I don't know. It's pretty snarky to start already. Having you on the show.
Listen, we've been having all kinds of conversations.
Dude, this dude's like getting set up right now, and he's knocking everything over. Like, this is your co-host for today.
There is a little bit of a transition period. He had to move out of the big chair over to the
other chair,
to the co-host chair, and get kind of reorganized and reset up over there. So he's trying to get himself together, so he can co-host 3 and Out today here for the next 3 hours. So we have plenty to talk about, though.
I don't know about all this co-hosted thing. I'm just along for the ride, Kevin.
Okay, so I'm here, and the Christian and Cody happen to be in the room. Is that better? That's a
lot of pressure on us, I'm just saying. Yeah.
How much pressure, though, is there? Watch this transition on the Knicks tonight.
No.
Oh, man. Yes, I did.
No.
Seems to be a lot of. But there seems to be a lot of griping and complaining about how the Hawks went about their business. And I think Derrick Rose called out and said, "Look, NBA's going soft, man. Used to be fans would be yelling and people would be throwing stuff at other people, and it's like, hey, if you want to talk bleep. But hey, we're coming back harder in game 2. Now everybody's like, oh, you're trying to draw out the fouls, and
yeah, anybody from the city of New York that wants to complain about someone drawing fouls when James Harden currently resides there, the hell out of here.
Well, I mean, look, and again, I think this would be an epic win for the Hawks tonight. In that if you're up 2-0 in a best of 7, by and large, you go on to win those series, right? I mean, it is not a mathematical certainty, but it is a huge mathematical advantage that you go on to win the series when you're up 2-0, especially if you win the first 2 on the road.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and thus flip home court back in your favor.
How much of that is just the fact that it's more mental than anything, right? Like, you can do the percentages and all that, but I mean, you lose the first 2 games at home, and then you have to go on the road. That's tough.
I'm just glad you didn't ask me to do the percentages, as we know math is banned here on the program. But yeah, look, I think if you're Atlanta, with all the good vibes you've gotten here from Nate McMillan in the last half of the season, you've been a different team since he took over, and you have a chance to put New York down 0-2, coming back to, I guess, somebody tell me, are the kiddos calling it the farm now? Is that what we're calling it?
Oh yeah, baby, State Farm Arena, full capacity tonight. So we'll have like 14,000 Knicks fans in there.
True Atlanta fan angst coming out in Christian Coquel there.
Absolutely.
But look, if you go up 2-0, what a huge advantage. And I think you look at a team that is going to ride that wave with Trae Young, with John Collins. And I thought John Collins was kind of on his way to stardom, and Trae Young kind of took off as well. So you've got 2 guys that are really capable of carrying a team, and the complementary pieces are really playing well for Atlanta. So I think you go up 2-0, you take a season in which a lot of people said, playoffs, to steal that line. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this team ain't going to make the playoffs too. They could actually win a series. Now, I know it's a little ways to go before you can actually claim that, but if you'd have told me back in December, like, hey, this Hawks team is going to end up being good enough to win a series in the playoffs, I probably would have laughed at you and said, yeah, we just won't talk about that anymore.
All right, so, I mean, I have math for you if you want the math.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, a total of 426 playoff series had at some point a status of 2-0. So, like, somebody up 2-0. Those teams go on to win the series 93.7% of the time.
So, an absurd amount of the time, you go on and get it done.
Correct.
So, important one for the Hawks to get the dub tonight and put it in the rearview mirror. Start looking. No, I'm just kidding. No, don't start looking at it.
In the division finals, like the division finals, it's 95.2%.
So the team starts saying, vacation sounded pretty good.
You're like, look, Julius, you got the NBA Most Improved Player of the Year. We made the playoffs for the first time. Well, let's just call it a season. It's fine.
Vacation sounded good. I hear the Caribbean is nice this time of year. Let's just go ahead and pack it in. So we'll see what happens tonight with the Hawks when they go out in game 2 against the Knicks. Also, a lot of Julio Jones news out there, Christian. And again, Titans, Patriots emerging as favorites. I know someone mentioned the Ravens potentially would be a good fit as they need wide receivers, but Titans and Patriots, 2 interesting places for Julio Jones to land. What do you get back in return? And as this goes along, again, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I'll just say it, and if you want to take it disrespectfully, I guess you can. But
disrespectful as hell. I'm excited about it.
No, but how much worse are the Falcons without Julio Jones?
A lot.
Significantly worse?
A lot.
They won, 4 games with him?
Right, and how much of that was Julio Jones' fault?
Well, I'm just saying.
But I mean, if you're a 90 overall team and you go to 100, or you're a 20 overall team and you go to 30, it's still a 10% difference.
I think the Falcons are a great team with him. I still think they're a good team without him. I think this is a team that
so you just ask.
I'm saying, but I think again, they're not. I thought they underachieved last year, and that was with him even missing time. So I think you get a 32-year-old receiver. You still have Calvin Ridley. You have Russell Gage. You went out and bought or drafted another playmaking option. They're at, I don't think he's going to be a true tight end, but that a tight end situation. I think that the Falcons are going to be fine, even if they don't get a player in return.
That's 2 different questions, but what you asked me was, are the Falcons significantly worse without Julio Jones? The answer is yes. Every team in the NFL would be significantly worse if you lose a top 3, top 5 wide receiver. Now, is it inovercomable? No. Does it change their overall record? I'd probably say there's a couple games you win because you have Julio Jones on your team. So, yeah. So, if the question is, do the Falcons take a significant hit if they lose Julio Jones? For 2021, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. And again, I think you take into the consideration you have 17 games. Let's just work the hypothesis that Julio Jones stays. Does he play 17 games in 2021?
Well, we did the math, Kevin. Prior to 2020, Julio Jones, the previous 4 seasons, had only missed 1 game. And a lot of the thought around Julio missing those final 4 games in 2020 was, why would he keep going out there and playing if you were already out of contention, right? You had nothing left to play for. You were not making the playoffs. Julio was hurt. I think if the Falcons are a playoff contender last year, he probably pushes through to try to get 20, 30 reps in a game. Why push that when you're well under 500 at that point? You just fired your head coach and your GM. So that's what a lot of thinking is. That's the one narrative I really hate that's being pushed, is Julio Jones is injury prone. He's not. He had 1 season last year where he was banged up. Prior to that, again, the 4 seasons before that, he had missed 1 game.
Did he? And maybe this is where people get it confused. Did he miss portions of other games with nagging injuries?
Dude, it's the NFL. Everybody's going to come out of a game because they get hit in the thigh or something like that, except for quarterbacks, right? I don't like it when people are like, man, Julio Jones didn't play every single offensive snap. Nobody does. And obviously the eyes are going to be on him because he's one of the top 10, 15 players in the NFL. So the eyes are going to be on you. Everybody takes plays off in the NFL, right? You have other wide receivers and other skill guys for that exact reason. Running backs come off the field every couple of plays. Wide receivers, when you run, a lot of times it's just like, depending on the route you run, you're going to come off, period. If you run a fly route and you just ran 70 yards full sprint down the field, you're probably going to hop off that next play so they can throw somebody else in there, keep the offense moving. So, yeah, like Julio Jones, has he been battled through some injuries before? Sure. But have they been significant enough to keep him off the field prior to last year? No. He had 1 season earlier in his career where he had a season-ending injury. I think it was turf toe that kept him out. Yeah. He only played in 5 games early in his career. But beyond that, Julio Jones has been a stalwart on that offense, consistently going over 1,300, 1,400 yards as a wide receiver. So the one narrative, I understand if you want to trade him because he wants to be gone and you want to clear up cap space, even though with the dead money you'll have next year, I don't know how much you're clearing up with Julio Jones. Enough, I guess, to sign your rookie class, but it's not like all of a sudden you clear Julio Jones, you can go and sign 7 free agents. But the narrative that you get rid of Julio Jones because he's aging and hurt, I think you can throw that one out the window because he's going to be an unbelievable wide receiver for the next 2-3 seasons.
Well, he is an aging wide receiver. That you can't deny. I mean,
well, sure, everybody gets older, but if you're looking at his contract, he's on contract for the next 3 years. I think he can be productive for the next 3 years.
I think the big key is, what do you get in return for him? What do you think happens if he goes to the Titans or Patriots and the reports come out, hey, the Falcons have now traded Julio Jones to Titans, Patriots, doesn't matter, and they get this back? Will you be disappointed? Like, ooh, I think they got the wrong side of that deal.
I know we're talking about this a little bit later, but I don't think there's a silver lining in this for the Falcons. Like, you lose one of the top 3 receivers in the league, arguably one of your greatest players ever, and you lose him with a new coach coming in. There's animosity apparently between the two parties around this. You have the whole Shannon Sharpe situation, right? And then so your first huge move as a head coach is to draft a career guy's replacement apparently now, and then trade that guy away. So that's kind of what you're dealing with if you're the Falcons front office. Now, football side of it, you're losing one of the best threats in the NFL, right? And you still have upwards of $15 million in dead money next year. So yeah, I don't think there's a silver lining. I think this is one of the things where as a franchise, you just got to kind of eat it, trade them, get what you can out of it. But I mean, Kevin, like, honestly, percentage-wise, you get a first-round pick out of this, and he wants to be traded to a contender, so you're not going to get a top 10 pick.
Right.
It's going to be in the 20s through the 30s. Are you going to get somebody in the 20s through the 30s, percentage-wise, that's going to contribute as much as Julio Jones could contribute the next 2 or 3 years?
I would say you probably have a 40% chance of that happening.
Or are you just doing it to get rid of them, to clear the space, sign your guys, and just get rid of the headache?
I mean, I don't know why people get upset about this in 2021. I mean, we see it happen in every single sport, right? Hey, man, we got to clear up some space. I know baseball doesn't have a cap, but teams still have a set payroll, and they're like, guess what? We're the Marlins.
Oh, no, I think
we have a great roster, but they're costing us more than we want to spend. So what are we going to do? We're going to salary dump, and we're going to get rid of guys. I mean, again, does it stink? If you're a fan, you're like, hey, the only reason the Falcons are getting rid of Julio Jones is to essentially,
but apparently that's not why
dump.
Anymore.
Do what?
Apparently that's not why anymore, though, because you had Julio Jones come on and say, nah, I'm out of there. And the reports are coming out from Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, that Julio Jones himself requested the trade.
Yeah, but I mean, he knows the deal. Like,
but the reports are that ownership, like the Terry Fontenot, Arthur Smith, tried to offer him their future for the Falcons, and he was like, look, man, I don't have that much time left in the NFL. I don't want to sit through your rebuilding project. Well,
they probably offered him some restructuring of his contract as well that he probably didn't want to do either. So
he shouldn't.
I mean, well, I'm not throwing fault at anybody. I'm just saying, look, probably part of that deal was, hey, we want you back, but you're also going to have to restructure your deal. And he's like, no. It's not about hating Julio Jones. Cody's trying to be.
Yeah, why do you hate Julio Jones? The animosity I'm getting here, like
Kevin is very front office centric, and I understand that.
I'm not front office. Look, I think if everything was equal and fair and all cards on the table, Julio Jones, this isn't even a discussion. But the fact is, the Falcons have been very player friendly for the most part, gave lots of cash to lots of guys, and now
I don't even know
they're paying the price for it, and that they're stuck. I mean,
I don't even know if it's player friendly. I get that the contracts ended up being because you paid Devontae Freeman way too much money. You paid.
What you call it if you're giving guys too much money?
I'm not going to pay. I'm going to say you paid Julio Joe. Hold on. I'm not going to say you paid Julio too much money because I think he earned every cent that he's getting paid for what he's done as a wide receiver. He has not been the problem with the Atlanta Falcons.
But you did it knowing that this day would come.
No, but you did it thinking that after you lost in overtime in the Super Bowl, one of those next 3 years you would get back to it. And now I believe over those 3 years, you're 12 games under 500. So that's what it's been. It hasn't necessarily been the fact that you're player friendly and that's the way Thomas Dimitroff operates. It was Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff trying to hold on to and rekindle the magic when in reality that relationship was over. Like they just had to let it go. They weren't willing to build towards the future. And now that's why Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith have inherited what everyone around the league calls cap hell.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is you have to make some moves because of financial reasons, not because of personnel reasons, right? I mean, that's my whole point. I mean, you gave Julio Jones a contract extension when everybody said, you don't need to do that. You don't have to do that. He's still under contract. You gave him one. Okay. I call that pretty player friendly. When you extend a guy who you don't have to, I call that, player friendly. And they knew this day was coming because leading up to it was into the 2020 season, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, one of them's going to have to go, if not considerably restructure their money. And you're probably talking about several other guys who are going to have to go as well because they've just handed out large doses of money and they're not going to be able to stay under the cap.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that.
I'm just saying that this day was coming at one point or another because of the deals they had put out there. That we cannot operate as a franchise because we gave everybody who asked for it the money.
I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that. I think what I'm disagreeing with is the false narratives. And I know we've discussed it about Ben and what some stuff he said, and it's not him, right? Everyone just seems it's becoming the common thought is that Julio Jones is injury prone. That's one narrative that I'm not a huge fan of, right? The second one is what you just said is the Falcons don't get significantly worse if Julio Jones is on the team. I completely disagree on that. I know you have to do it because, or you think you have to do it because of the cap, but if you're talking about as a football team, do you get worse or better if you lose Julio Jones? No football team in the world gets better when they lose Julio Jones.
Well, I mean, I think, do you get better? And I think what Ben's talked about in terms of replacing his production, Ben has targeted specifically red zone production, where I think you can replace that because he has not been huge in the red zone in terms of touchdowns. And those are just the numbers. And so I think, can you overcome that? Yes. Can you overcome the just clutch ability to get open? And maybe not. We'll find out. I do think, you have a quarterback.
I mean, if you want to money ball it, you can money ball it. But how's that worked out for the days, man?
But they're not. But they're not money balling because they want to. That's the thing. It's like they're not going out there and say, "Hey, let's be cheap because we want to be cheap." No, I mean, I don't even know if you can really money ball it in the NFL. In the NFL, I guess you can, but you have to spend. There is a floor of which you have to spend. There's not even a floor in baseball. It's like you have to spend, I think, 97% of the cap in the NFL. So you're talking about a 3% difference if you just spend the bare minimum between the bottom and the top. But I just look at it and think, look, you have a quarterback that can overcome. Now, if you're going to tell me my quarterback is Nick Foles, am I going to have to roll with Nick Foles and we're going to now replace Julio Jones? Yeah, I feel a little differently. I have Matt Ryan, I have an MVP. I think he can find guys, and I think he has proven through his time in Atlanta he makes guys better. At the 3 spot, at the 2 spot. So, again, I think we don't totally disagree. I think it's just the Falcons are dealing with the hard reality that the previous regime got them in this mess, and this day was coming at some point, whether it's now, and if they somehow figured it out this year, it'd be coming next year when they would have to get out from under this. I think they're choosing to bite it now. We've got to go to break. We'll come back. Sean Quinn, Savannah State head coach, going to join us when we return. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you here, 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Christian Gokel filling in for BJ and Ben today here on the program. And our next guest, the head football coach of the Savannah State Tigers, Sean Quinn, joins us. Coach, what's happening?
Hey, man, good to hear from you guys. On the road recruiting the last couple days here of recruiting before every school shut down for the summer, but just out recruiting and getting ready for summer and getting ready for next fall. It's coming quick.
Coach, I had to get an ally on here from an argument from the last segment with Kevin. Is any football team in the universe better off without Julio Jones on it?
You know, there's an old thing, addition by subtraction. He's a great player. I'd love to have him at Savannah State. I guarantee he'd play a lot for us, but that may be a salary issue and the number of games he's played.
I'm not talking about salary. I'm talking about, does any football team in the known universe on the field get better when Julio Jones isn't on there?
Well, he's not out there a whole lot, so that may be part of the issue.
Not true.
So
we're gonna move on.
Let's do that. Let's choose to disagree on that. So
we're moving on.
We're
moving on to Cincinnati. I got you. All right.
He's just faulty that nobody is coming to his aid.
Everyone's agreeing with me. I mean, he played 7 out of 48 games prior to last year, but whatever. Who's counting?
I got you. No, he's a good player. I mean, he's he just hadn't been available a whole lot. What's his salary right now?
That's a lot.
There you go.
It's a lot. Okay. How many offensive linemen can you get with that?
Coach is upset. Coach is just upset because the best receiver they've had in like the history of the Chicago Bears is Alshon Jeffrey.
No, the Bears. We need to take him if he's going to go to the Bears.
Oh, he's good enough for the Bears. I got it.
Yeah.
Good enough for
at
the
a
Bears.
discount right now. If he was a defensive tackle, I would say don't get rid of him. He's a wideout. Those guys are expendable. Defensive linemen aren't. You got to remember that I'm a defensive coach. I mean, that's kind of like cheering for ISIS. It's hard to do. So, let's talk about the Cubs. We're off to a bang here. I'm glad to have missed you guys, man.
I'm telling you, this is kind of almost back to Tiger King days.
It's a flashback.
It is. I keep waiting for him to get out and him and Carol Baskin to make amends. So we'll see if that happens anytime soon.
Well, speaking of that, I did hear on the news the other day, Coach, the guy that kind of looked like a biker. You know what I'm talking about? He took over the zoo when Joe went to jail. His partner, I think he had some of the some exotic animals confiscated from the zoo the other day, and they raided the zoo, the former Joe Exotic Zoo. So as the drama turns there at the
as the tiger turns, as they would say, that show will be and continues to be a train wreck, just depending on how bad the carnage is each episode. So I'd like him to do another show a year from now and kind of see where it's at. I'm surprised Joe hasn't got an interview on 2020 or something from prison yet. I'm waiting for that to happen.
I think 2020, much like most of the universes, realized that we were just really bored during the shutdown. We feel real dirty for having spent so much of our lives watching Tiger King, much like the match coming up, Kevin, between Phil Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Don't waste a second of your life on it. Just like Tiger King, don't do Tiger King, not even once.
No, you don't regret watching it, I'm telling you.
Every second.
Well, if I'm Phil, I'm riding off in the sunset. What better way to write the script and move on? I mean, golly, he played great the other day. That was great to see him win, and pretty cool to turn back Father Time a little bit. So I don't know if he's on the TB12 routine workout now, but whatever he's doing is working.
Oh, Kevin, you want to do power rankings on the show real quick with Coach?
Okay, go ahead.
Coach, rank them for me right here. Phil's win this past weekend, Tiger Woods' Master win in 2019, or Jack Nicklaus 1986 Masters win.
I got to go with Tiger. I wasn't privy to the Jack one. I would go Tiger, then Phil, and just in this day and age, how hard it is, and then obviously Jack Nicklaus. Any of them, you don't want to scoff at, but what Tiger had to go through to get back to there from all the injuries, and it'll be interesting to see if he ever competes competitively again. But I would go Tiger, then Phil, and then Jack Nicklaus.
And that was so special for Tiger to do that, because nobody except Tiger and his publicist, Christian Gokel, thought he was going to win that Masters.
Yeah, everyone in here said he was done. Everyone in here said he was done. Coach, there's some athletes, much like Tom Brady, where I will never say that they're not going to win another championship until they say they're done.
Yep, I agree. And, Tom's just a guy, man. He just finds a way to get it done. It'll be interesting to see how they are this year. It's always second. The second go-round's always tougher. Probably really good. They're one of the few teams, though, that was able to keep everybody intact. Usually after you win, they dismantle it. So, and the Bulls, I was going to say the other good thing that came out of the whole pandemic was that we all realized again how good Michael Jordan was, is, and will be forever. So that was the other good thing out of it. What else is going on, man? You guys doing all right?
Hey, yeah, we're doing. Hey, we are ready for football season. I know, as you said, hey, you're out recruiting, and then summertime turns into the camp time for you guys getting ready. But yeah, well, I'm ready for summer, man. It seems like this is the summer that we were supposed to have last year. Like last summer disappeared and got lost somewhere, and now it's the end of a long winter.
It is. It's funny because we're allowed to go out and recruit in Division II, and Division I guys are still restricted. So they're literally sitting in their offices in their starting blocks with a baton, and June 1st goes off, and they are off in a dead sprint trying to catch up with. They haven't been out since the pandemic hit, where we've been able to be out. So it's been interesting at the different levels. They could play, we couldn't. We could recruit, they couldn't. And so June 1st, it's the wild, wild west. Here we go, like normal college football year. So it'll be fun, and I think everybody's looking forward to getting back to normal, see as much as we can, full stadiums, and being able to have a normal cycle, which, as a coach, you're a creature of, and getting our guys back here next week. And we're excited, man. So we got a really good schedule and think a good football team, but we'll see. A lot of work to be done between now and September.
And Coach, how has recruiting been? Because I know, again, here in Georgia, we got the full season in, so I know you recruit obviously heavily in Southeast Georgia and things of that nature, but you have guys from some other states, and I know certain states didn't play high school football until just a couple of months ago, until a couple of weeks ago they finished up. Some teams didn't even get to play. I mean, how do you recruit guys coming out of high school that maybe played 4 games, not due to injury?
It's hard. I felt for the guys in Chatham County because obviously they had limited games, and there were some guys that truthfully are walking on now that may have been scholarship guys that just had limited film. We were fortunate. Our recruiting base, they all played, some with some limitations, but this spring coach has been great. Spring football's in full effect, and so that's been good. That's a really good evaluation because I can take an hour and watch a guy do drills and practice, where in the fall I don't have time to do that, and really see if this is the kind of guy we want to sign. And like we've already offered a number of guys here in this area and in South Carolina across the bridge and in North Florida that we may have not had a chance to had we not been able to go out. So it's been invaluable for us. And like I said, the cycle of how you kind of pick your team for the next go-round, you need them to play. And there's one thought that was lost in HBCU. We didn't have a single player drafted in HBCU, but the one fact everybody neglected was we didn't play, and that cost, talking to the scouts, it cost guys opportunities to get drafted, and that was the main reason that the guys that were fringe guys that didn't have film from last year to get drafted, and really hurt our HBCUs because of the lack of film. Is like a high school guy not playing. It's hard to take a guy off film from 2 years ago. So I'm hoping with this normal cycle, it'll help everybody in the recruiting process, and more kids will sign this year than in the past. So should be a lot of fun.
Well, Coach, is kind of basing off of that, not to take what was a super fun interview into something where we go, and not necessarily to a sadder side, but something where the reality is affecting high school football players is with the transfer portal rules the way they are now, with the extra year of eligibility. ESPN.com and Alex Scarborough put out a story and saying basically the kids that are going to be affected the most by this are high school students that are G5 FCS level recruits, because instead of inherently going after high school recruits, you can just go, you need a linebacker, transfer portal. I can grab a linebacker out of the transfer portal. Just with the way the numbers are going to work out, specifically for you guys, with red shirts, with the extra years of eligibility, with the number of scholarship opportunities you have, do you see that as a reality where you guys are just bringing in less high school guys than in the past?
I think it's different based on kind of what your program looks at, but it will affect because you're going to be more apt to take a transfer. For us in Division II, it would help us because there would be more guys that want to come in here and transfer here. It's interesting. We used to joke about it, but after every game that we won, guy come up and shake your hand, Coach, hey, man, you guys are good. I'd like to come over there, and I want to transfer. And you're like, what the heck? I mean, we're just finished the game. So, when the things were rolling well this past year, you got a lot of those conversations unsolicited by you, where guys say, hey, I want to come play. And so, I think it's going to change the game. I think there's a lot of unintended consequences that they haven't thought out, that there's going to be major issues. What you don't want is a MAC school to become a feeder for the SEC, where they just go, all right, let's take their best 8 players, which it's kind of set up that way now. And I think that the high school kids will be the ones that'll get left out in the cold. And it's also the whole premise of, hey, you go somewhere, you sign there, you commit there, you go to the school, you graduate, and you're part of a team, and you build a championship culture. And guys that are in and out the door, that doesn't lend itself to that happening. So I hope they make some changes to it. And I've never been a proponent of transfer. I think you got to work through things, and it's like life. You got to keep grinding away, and eventually good stuff happens. So we'll see kind of what happens. I don't think any coach can tell you with a crystal ball, hey, this is going to be how it is. I think we're all sitting here going, really? It's the wild, wild west now? There's no rules. So, there's some guys that don't have a lot of scruples, and there'll be some other unintended consequences from it, but hopefully smarter heads will prevail, and they'll tweak it where it's more sensible.
Well, just sticking with that, Coach, you're talking about the number of scholarships that'll be available. I think one of the things that's confusing some people is they're saying, well, if one guy transfers from the MAC school to another school to Alabama, then that scholarship spot is opened up. And they're like, well, then that spot probably gets taken by another transfer guy. The fourth corner for an SEC school transfers in because he wants to play more to a lower level school. But I think people are confused by the math, right? They're like, well, if one spot opens, then another spot's going to open for a lower level guy. But in reality, with walk-ons and red shirts and transfers and gray shirts, that's just not how it works.
Exactly. I mean, the thing about it is the guys go in the portal. I mean, if you guys get a chance to read Gio Ariema's his comments on today, I thought he was spot on. Basketball, it's been an epidemic where they had over 1,000 guys in the portal this year, or gals. I'm not sure if it was men's or women's he was referring to, but the culture of just, hey, I'm going to play and then leave and go somewhere else. And more often than not, there's a whole bunch of those folks that don't end up with anything when the musical chairs end. It's like, one of the things, guys get bad info in the draft, and a lot of guys have declared and went out and not gotten drafted, and now they're out of eligibility, they're out of school, and they don't have a career. And a lot of times people think grass is always greener on the other side. It isn't. And wherever you go, you got to work, and there's good players everywhere. It's not like you can just go, I'm going to go somewhere where nobody else is any good and they're going to play. Well, where would you want to play where there's no other good players? So I think sometimes the whole fallacy of it's created a whole bunch of issues, and there's going to be a lot of guys that are left standing at the end of the night with no dance partner. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Coach Sean Quinn joining us here, head coach at Savannah State. It is the summertime. Coach, I know you guys have a lot of great things coming up in terms of camps. Tell us about that quickly.
Yes, sir. We got 4 camps, 2 in June, a 7-on-7, June 23rd, June 24th, and then July 9th. We have our Friday night camps, our showcase camps, and July 16th. They're at Memorial Stadium over in Savannah. So we'd love to have a bunch of the guys come out. You got a son that wants a scholarship. We got a wheelbarrow of them. If you come to camp, we hand them out. So hopefully we'll have some. We have signed a lot of guys out of our camps, and it's been really a great recruiting tool for us. And so we're excited to hopefully have some great turnouts. And we're doing all of our camps at Memorial Stadium there with the city and the county. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and give a chance for guys to get, obviously recruited and evaluated, and to have a chance to compete against some really other good local players and players from all of South Georgia, Florida, and South Carolina. So should be a lot of fun. It's on our website, or go to tfasavannah.com. So that's my spiel.
Hey, appreciate it, Coach. We'll talk soon.
Hey, guys, appreciate you guys. Go Tigers, and we'll talk soon. And let's go Cubbies. Let's get some wins here and beat those Cardinals every day.
We got to kick you out.
No Braves here. Cubs all the way, baby.
All right, well, we're muting. Sorry, Coach.
Sean Quinn joining us here on 3 and Out. I got good stuff,
I
except for the
hell
Cubs
out of
tape.
here. What was that?
Exactly. We'll come back. 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's 3 and Out on this Wednesday. Kevin Thomas, Christian Gokel doing the work of two men today here on the show and filling in admirably, as I might say. Braves and the Red Sox tonight.
Speaking of filling in admirably,
okay,
someone's going to have to do it for old Marcel.
Sure. Braves out. Outfielder is out. What a transition. He put an Instagram post up basically alluding to the fact that, hey, I'll see you in 6 weeks. So the Braves haven't really released an official statement about how long he's going to be out, but Marcel's under the impression he's not coming back for 6 weeks. So how do you feel that affects the team here in the short term? Obviously, the next 5 to 6 weeks.
Well, I mean, as soon as Cody moves his computer. No, I think you're not better without Marcel, but he had been struggling, right? And it seemed like he was coming out of it a little bit, Kevin. He had a big hit last night, and then obviously slid into dude's foot at third base, but you're not better without Marcel, but I do think the Braves have had some guys on the bench who have played really well, so you don't have to go to the minors to get somebody. You're not even thinking about going out and trading for somebody at this point. So I think you probably just stick Ender in center field and then figure it out in left field. And honestly, Marcel's defense had been bad this year, but last year MVP level at the plate kind of covered up for it.
Well, I mean, and he didn't have to play. He had the universal DH
right.
that was thrown in there as well. But
again,
I think what you lose.
I think you're okay. But it's also probably like with Max Fried. He was struggling, went on the 10-day IL and came back, and he's been the same Max Fried from 2020. So I think maybe a silver lining in this one.
Sure. But one thing I think you do lose, and, it might be Ire Adrianza back there in left field in the time being, and he's played very well, and given his time there. I just look at it, even when he's struggling, Marcell Ozuna, the reason he's where he is he gets that, if I mess up with one pitch, this thing could get planted in the outfield. I don't know. I don't know if you get that same sense with anybody else you could put out there to replace him. And that's obviously why it was such a big deal when the Braves brought him back was, look, you have to face Ronald Acuna and Freddie Freeman, two of the most feared hitters in Major League Baseball. One, because he can hit it 10 miles out of the ballpark, and two, maybe one of the most professional hitters in the game in Freddie Freeman. Then you have a guy who, if you get through all that, with one swing of the bat, it could be 3-0. It could be, or it can plant one in the bleachers.
Do you maybe give the chance now to Austin Riley? Has he earned that 3-hole now that Ozuna's out? Or you just
I just really feel like with Austin Riley, it's like it's going so well. Don't mess with it. You know what I mean? It's like it is one of those things where, hey, there's an opening. He's hit really well. Let's put him in the 3-hole. No, let's just leave him where he's comfortable and rolling right along, because the kind of side effect to that, Christian, is the bottom half of your lineup has been really well. Once Austin Riley started hitting, it's amazing. Hey, the production out of the bottom half of the lineup kind of picked up a tick once Austin Riley started getting it going.
I have an answer for you, Kevin. So the answer is you just slide everybody up one. Ozzy Albies is going to be hitting out of the 3-hole. Austin Riley will be hitting out of 4, Dansby 5, Pablo 6. Heredia is stepping into left field with Ender in center field, and then William Contreras. I think everybody does that. I heard Jeffrey and Core do that. Everyone calls him William Contreras.
Yeah.
And he doesn't play for the Cubs, plays for the Braves.
Wilson Contreras. I keep wanting to call him Wilson too, and it's like that's not him.
You just kind of get stuck in the middle right there. And it's he's batting nice, but there you go. I mean, you just bump everybody up a spot.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Again, Boston, an interesting place to go hit. You get one game there, and then you get to that run of games where I think it's the Nationals, the Mets.
Well, you got the Mets coming up next.
Yeah.
In Flushing.
So, look, I hope the Braves can get a little something tonight.
This is our chance for the first time all year to be over 500.
Well, then you just cursed it right there. It's going to go lost tonight.
I already talked about it on second downs. I already jinxed it.
Oh, well, you want to talk about me and the things I say, man. You just putting the hex on the Braves
facts,
today.
Kevin. Just stating facts.
Facts sometimes can be a curse in and of themselves. So we've got more to come.
I know that's true from you. You don't really necessarily stick to the facts all that much.
We've got more to come. 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Oh, today a lot to going on the show, but some breaking news, Christian, that has sent one of us here on the show into just an emotional tailspin.
A tizzy, if you will.
Yes, and that was the announcement earlier this afternoon, just a little while ago, that Adam Vinatieri is finally retiring after 700 seasons.
He should have been
in the
my
National
dad.
Football League.
He should have been my dad.
Cody is distraught, upset.
father.
I've not seen a man more upset than he is right
After
now.
a kicker retires.
When Adam Vinatieri, he's like, there goes my fantasy points.
The greatest kicker of all time. This is not just call him some any old regular kicker.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah.
Most clutch kicker ever.
Yes. Nobody's upset about this.
No,
Everybody gets upset
players, at some
when the
point,
old
he's
hack
old.
quarterback retires, but my man
He's
over
old.
playing 24 years.
Exactly.
But
I mean, at
What
some
position? No, what position in what other sport can you play for 24 years?
if you're fortunate, maybe very fortunate,
golf.
maybe
But I mean, I'm talking like in
Maybe
a team
pitcher.
sport. Like
Maybe
what
pitcher.
position? Because there's like no position in golf outside of golfer.
maybe a pitcher, I would say. And you probably transition to a reliever from a starter.
My man was an athlete. My man,
Was he?
he
Or could he kick
he
the football?
epitomized what the NFL is. Not these hard hitting guys, not all these pass catching one handers. My man's using the foot, putting it through the uprights, and winning Super Bowls because of it.
Well, he's pretty yoked up.
Yeah,
You're
he
talking
is.
about hard hitting. I mean, Adam Vinatieri's pretty yoked up. I mean, I guess like you can only do so much kicking during the day, and then you spend the rest of the time just hanging out with the team
Yep.
in the weight room.
Man,
but
it
I mean,
looks like it's hot out there, fellas. We
Yeah,
ready for
it's like,
special teams work?
woof.
It was more like I'm so good at my job, I don't have to do that. So you guys aren't as good at your job, so you have to work out all the time.
True.
I don't really have to.
I mean, he hit just
it's
like clutch
natural.
field goals in the snow in the Super Bowl. Hit
Yep.
some clutch field goals for Indianapolis. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's Adam Vinatieri, man. But Kevin, you see the other breaking news today? Like
I didn't.
world-shattering college football news. Georgia, Florida will be played at 3:30 on CBS. I mean, dude, just utterly
I didn't
shocking
see that
news.
one coming.
Utterly shocking news.
Wow. I'm gonna
I
have to
saw a lot of outlets, not going to name names, but a lot of outlets. Georgia's time for Florida, Georgia has been released, and I was like, well, I'm pretty sure I know what this is, but just in
Yeah,
case it's like
it's,
on 7:30 on ESPN2, then like let me
I
click
think it's
on
been
this.
the same time for at least the last 15, 20
Yeah,
years,
it's
at
ridiculous.
least. So I think the only time it wasn't is when they had that home and home, and it might have been like a 7
In
o'clock.
like
game.
95.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, it's fine. We'll come back. I have to process that. I wasn't expecting that to be announced today. But no, Adam Vinatieri calls it a career epic. Is he the GOAT kicker? No,
Yes,
Cody's
yes,
upset. We'll come back.
absolutely.
We'll chat with Aaron Kelly, former Clemson NFL wide receiver, next here on 3 and Out. Hour 2 here, 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Christian Gokel filling in for BJ Bennett, and Ben Troop will get to Take 3 coming up here in just a little bit. But joining us here on the program, former Clemson pro wide receiver Aaron Kelly stepping in here on 3 and Out. Aaron, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Obviously, Clemson has been in the news a lot. Just this most recent draft, you had the number 1 pick in Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, a first rounder there as well. And you were at Clemson at the time Dabo Swinney took over. Are you amazed at how quickly Clemson went from where you guys were to now they are rivaling Alabama in terms of the number of players going in the draft every year?
It's amazing, honestly. I mean, I think Coach Swinney, Dabo, he definitely had a plan that he wanted to implement and a style and a philosophy that he wanted. He wanted to do it a certain way, and he's done it that way. And the formula is definitely working. So, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, he's a relentless worker, and it's paying off.
And I want to say you guys kind of laid the foundation with your classes, right? Because guys like CJ Spiller that came through in the early 2000s there and went on to the success he had in the NFL, and as amazing as he was in college, you're a guy who is in the top 30 in the ACC in terms of career receiving yards. You had a 1,000-yard season your junior year, but now you see guys like DeAndre Hopkins, like Mike Williams coming through Clemson. I mean, it just seems like the trajectory for the program and pumping out college talent. I mean, not just on offense, do it on the defense too, but it just keeps going up and up.
Yeah, I think that's credit to Dabo, even before he's head coach, the type of recruiter he was before he was a head coach. I mean, the guys that he pulled in, I mean, especially with CJ and stuff like that. And then he was also always great at developing wide receivers. And I think now, as the head coach, he has kind of a hand in picking people that can develop an entire team. And when you recruit well and you can develop players, you're going to be consistent. And I think that's what Clemson is now. They're consistent year in and year out. They just seems like they just reload. I mean, you know, you had Taj Boyd, and they're like, man, what are we going to do after Taj? Look how great he was. And you had Deshaun Watson, and they're like, there's no way anyone's coming behind Deshaun Watson. Then you have Trevor Lawrence. And then so on and so forth. It just keeps going up. You got Big Cinco. I mean, like, it keeps going. There's a consistency there. And I think, you know, coaching and the culture has a lot to do with that.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about one guy in particular, though. The second pick for the Jaguars in the first round, the second Clemson guy, Travis Etienne, goes off the board there in the late 20s in the first round, second running back off the board. But for whatever reason, and it wasn't his production, maybe it's who he was playing next to, people don't appreciate how good Travis Etienne is as a football player. ACC's all-time leading rusher. Really, I think the defensive line, and Etienne won that national championship for them more so than Trevor Lawrence his freshman year. How good of a football player are the fans in Jacksonville getting? And just tell them to calm down a little bit about taking a running back in the first round.
I think the running game's important. I mean, it gives you balance. And then, you know, he came back his senior year to improve some skills as far as catching the ball. And you saw how dynamic he can be catching balls, catching screens. He'll probably get, you know, some short passes. I heard some things about him playing the slot. You'll get a guy that's dual threat. You know, you can split him out. You know, he came back to work on his pass blocking as well. I mean, when you get a guy like that, it's dynamic. I mean, you kind of look at Christian McCaffrey there in Carolina, and you know, I could see Travis Etienne being something like that, you know, a player that you can put all over the field, and, you know, you just got breakaway speed. You kind of hold your breath every time he gets the ball. So I think, you know, anytime you can get a player that can change the game, and the running back position is something that, you know, the Jaguars are looking to be successful as soon as possible. I know Urban Meyer is. When you get a running back, a lot of times you look at these running backs that go early, they prove dividends as soon as they come in. I think Travis Etienne is going to be a running back that can do that. And then also a lot of times running backs, you know, that go high, that stayed in school, they don't have a lot of tread on the tires, but because of how dominant Clemson was, I mean, he had all these amazing stats, and half the time he wasn't playing in the third and fourth quarter. Yeah. You know, how Clemson plays, they're out in front. So you're also going to get a back that's fresh.
Aaron Kelly joining us here on 3 and Out, and you look at Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, got a lot of accolades, but you mentioned as a receiver having a guy like Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson, Taj Boyd, bringing you to football. What kind of confidence does that give you when you have a guy like that? I want to say under center. I know that's kind of going out of style, but what kind of confidence do you have as a wide receiver when you have a dude like that slinging you the football?
You got a chance. Guys that have that type of arm talent at wide receiver, he'll throw you open, or like even when it looks like you're not open, he can put the ball in places that will, like I said, throw you open. You run every route hard, knowing that you'll definitely have a chance. And when you got a special guy behind center, you go into every game knowing you have a chance to win, not just receiver wise, your entire team, but receiver wise. I mean, there's nothing he can't do as far as throwing the ball. So you're going to give it your best effort every time because he's going to give you a chance. And just having a special guy is special because it just elevates your game.
I want to switch gears with you here, Aaron. Go back. I know we're talking about the guys that have left Clemson, but Clemson's still a top 3 team going into 2021, and they have a hell of a season opener coming up against Georgia in the Duke's Mayo Classic. But, I mean, it's going to be full capacity stadium. Georgia-Clemson, a really fun traditional rivalry that we don't get to see a ton. But, man, talk about DJ Uiagalelei having to step in to his first season as the guy. I know he started that game against Notre Dame, but first season as the guy, gets that entire offseason to rep with the ones. But, I mean, that's a heck of a first test as the guy at Clemson.
I mean, I think last year is going to help him a ton. I think that preparation will get him ready for what he's going to go up against. I grew up here in Georgia, so, I watched Georgia-Clemson games, and that game being the first game of the season, it's going to be a sellout. I mean, people have been waiting, seems like forever, to be able to go to a game and fill it up, and both those fan bases travel. I mean, it's going to be an electric atmosphere. And I think especially that Notre Dame game will give him, I can't see why I wouldn't give him all the confidence in the world to go out and perform this first game. Because, I mean, that was, like you said, without a full off season of taking all the first reps and really being comfortable with all the receivers. I think he's poised to have a great game. And, I can't wait, when a receiver, I can't wait to see him throw the ball down the field to the receivers. I mean, he's got a big arm, and got a lot of young guys, young receivers as well, with 2 seniors leaving that are going to have to step up, and I think they'll be ready to do that.
Aaron Kelly joining us here on 3 and Out. You mentioned being a Metro Atlanta guy. What was it that drew you to Clemson and not Georgia, potentially, when we were coming out of high school and led you to go there to Clemson?
Honestly, the way they threw the ball. I mean, Charlie Whitehurst was there. When I was coming out, it was Derek Hamilton and Kevin Youngblood. I mean, Tony Elliott was actually he hosted me on my recruiting visit. I mean, they were slinging the ball over the place, and I went to a high school where they ran the ball a ton. And I was like, I need to go somewhere they're going to throw the ball. And I love the way they threw the ball down the field. And, Georgia offered me way down the line, and Clemson offered, I think they were my second offer. And I just felt like, I got a good connection with Dabo, and, he actually played with my cousin at Alabama. So, my cousin Derek gave me the stamp of approval on Dabo. And, once I got there, and we all know what Death Valley's about. I watched one game there. They beat Florida State that year when, they were number 3. And that's all I really needed to see.
Okay, well, while you were there, though, I mean, I know you had a 1,000-yard season, a ton of big catches, ton of huge catches in rivalry games. What's your favorite play from your time at Clemson?
I mean, there's a ton. I mean, probably my favorite catch was, I think, my freshman or sophomore year. I caught a touchdown in the corner, and they had to review it. And they put the review up on the big screen so all the fans saw it, and they all held their hands up for a touchdown. And it took them forever to review. It was pretty cool to watch everyone hold their hands up for a touchdown. And then my junior year, when we came back and beat South Carolina on that last second field goal, and I had 4 catches for 70 yards to kind of set it up right there in a row. That was probably rivalry, the best drive feeling I've had at Clemson.
And I know one of the biggest things coming back this year, because the ACC and the SEC didn't really play out of conference. How much did you miss just that Clemson-South Carolina game last year?
I know I talk a lot of trash to the USC guys, the South Carolina guys. I know I can't wait for us to beat them again. That's what I look forward to. I mean, it's a rivalry. It's a real, rivalry. And, I've got a lot of friends, from South Carolina, and, I miss it. I miss being able to talk trash and play that game. It means a lot in the state of South Carolina.
Aaron Kelly, our guest here on 3 Now. Aaron, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for joining us.
No problem. Go Tigers.
Appreciate it. Aaron
you
Kelly,
go.
our guest here on 3 Now. Kind of talking all things Clemson and ETN. He actually played for Dabo as his position coach.
Right.
And while he was there, Dabo became the head coach at Clemson. And then obviously, well, we know the rest of that story
Sure.
As it's moved forward.
But I thought one thing interesting he pointed out was DJ Uiagalelei from Clemson, the new quarterback,
Sure.
is he's coming in and people are like, well, he said he's got a big arm. Trevor Lawrence had a big arm. This guy's different. It's Trevor Lawrence has that NFL arm, and Trevor Lawrence can make all the throws, but it's kind of the difference between Patrick Mahomes, right? It's just he has that level of arm where he can touch any part of the field. Kevin, when you're a safety and you're 50 yards down the field and like the quarterback's having to scramble out, you're like, all right, this guy's not getting it behind me. He can make those kind of throws. So yeah, if I'm a wide receiver, that's one of those guys where you're like, don't break off your routes. Just keep running. Run to the end zone. He can find you. It's going to be really fun to watch him now that he's going to have an entire offseason to be the guy at Clemson. Instead of, like we said, before the Notre Dame game, he was repping with the twos coming in there. Now he gets to be the guy. I think he's going to have a really special season.
And he's also a load to bring down. I think that'll be an interesting
size of a dang offensive lineman.
I think that'll be an interesting dynamic to see how Clemson adds that into their repertoire. Because obviously Trevor Lawrence could run. I mean, we saw he had a 100-yard rushing game in his career.
He had
an
80-yard rushing touchdown in a college football semifinal.
So now you add a guy with that arm talent who, oh, by the way, like outweighs Trevor Lawrence by like 20 or 30 more pounds.
I think he's Cam Newton size.
And
I don't think that's me being like, that's not hyperbole. I think he's literally 6'5", 260
it's like
pounds.
Now you can challenge defenses like, who wants some? Like we have a running back, but also, do you want a piece of our quarterback?
No.
And if you step up, we'll just throw it over the top of you as well. So I mean, it's going to be fun to watch them play here in 2021. Appreciate Aaron Kelly joining us here on the show. We'll come back with more. We'll take 3 next, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
you
Kevin
okay?
Thomas. No, I'm not. Christian Gokel. I'll tell you in the break why I'm not.
I
okay.
played
gonna
I played
tease
my
the fans?
son's liner, and he was like, "Dude, erratic. Are you okay? You don't like
Yeah,
my
no,
son? You
no,
don't
it's
like
fine. But no, I'll tell you in the break. It's not important. It doesn't matter to the on-air discussion.
You
but
almost lost your mind.
I
so
did.
Now I'm really curious.
well, you'll feel my pain when I tell you in the break. But we'll come back and get to that in a minute. Let's take 3 first here on 3 and Out. I'm sorry. Come on.
Cody, you reading the
Cody
questions?
Queen is bringing us take 3 whenever he's finally ready to go here on this Wednesday. Take 3.
You missed it yesterday where he just like didn't start my show. That was exciting.
I get the feeling like with
You did-
Cody,
did you ask why? Did you ask him why he missed the start of second down, Kevin?
I know why.
Watching TikToks.
No, dude, I was doing important radio business stuff. Take 1. What is your level of interest in watching Phil Mickelson, Tom Brady, Bryson DeChambeau, and Aaron Rodgers play golf?
Absolutely zero.
All right, take 2.
Absolutely zero.
He
No.
said absolutely.
No,
zero.
absolutely zero. Like, why? If Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are playing football, absolutely tuning in for that. If Bryson DeChambeau and Phil Mickelson are playing in PGA Tour,
Would you pay to watch Aaron Rodgers throw passes to DeChambeau and
no,
Phil Mickelson
No.
catch balls from Tom
No.
Brady in a live game
No.
where they can get like
No.
just decleated?
Oh
No.
yeah, oh yeah.
I would.
No.
I think that'd be funny.
why?
Because why not?
I would never do that. This is clearly nothing but a money grab from them, and TNT obviously has paid money for it. But I mean, you're watching amateur golfers play golf. That's what you're doing. If you want to do
call
that,
the PGA champion amateur.
no. But what's the draw to this? If you want to watch Phil Mickelson play golf, you can literally do that every single weekend. Everybody's coming to watch this so they can watch Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady play golf. But if you want to watch amateur golfers play golf, we live in South Georgia. Start walking, and within 20 minutes, you'll be on a golf course. Right? Any direction. You'll be on a golf course and you can watch amateur golfers play golf. No, I'm good. I don't need to watch a few friends just playing golf. Now,
You're
if
not caught up in all the Tom Brady roasting.
you
everybody?
replace Phil Mickelson with Brooks Koepka, and as Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau out there, here for it. Give me that.
I'll do
this-
anything for Brooks.
But this, I'm good. I'm spending absolutely 0 seconds of my life watching this.
Even with Tom Brady bringing the heat, I would
No,
say
who cares?
I would say 10%, 20% interested. I might watch it for a minute.
Really, Kevin?
A minute?
On your
you're going to
weekend-
criticize me
on
for
your
a minute
on your weekends where you are
at a ball field?
dad coach yelling at umps and yelling at 11-year-olds,
Doach.
you're gonna come home and your limited time off and watch these guys play amateur golf.
Maybe I'll get myself thrown out so I can go home and watch.
Go watch it on your phone.
Most believable thing you've ever said.
Start arguing balls
Is
and
it?
strikes on the first
It
guy.
is. I heard you're a hassle out there.
No, not really.
In the ball tournament, dude, you have come in having no voice.
Yeah, you said you had a.
You speak for a living. And
I don't
you've
talk to
come
the
in
umpires though.
with
usually.
no voice.
You
Well, you
told me
learned
did
your
this
lesson.
weekend.
I did, no. I told him I
You said
would.
the umpire blew a call and then admitted to you after the game.
Yeah, they did.
It's amazing.
No, he didn't admit it to me after the game. He admitted it to me the next half inning. I was like, "Don't tell me that."
I hope he's listening right now and he's just like ashamed in his car.
It's like crying in his car and
You
everything.
should.
eating
How
his
do you?
lunch.
How dare you
What's it-
miss
what-
that call?
Well, what's it going to change?
What was the age group?
What's it going to change?
What was the age group? What was the age group?
I wasn't screaming.
What
at
was the age group?
him. I wasn't screaming.
What was the age group?
10U, I think, right?
What
No,
was the
it
age
was younger
group?
than that.
11U.
Nine
Oh
years
my
old.
god!
All right. So how dare you miss that call in a 9-year-old
No, I
baseball
didn't
game?
yell at him about that. I just said, "What's the deal?" He's like, "Yeah, I kind of blew that." I'm like, "Well, don't tell me that because now you cost me a run." I didn't go up to him offering, "Hey, you blew the call." He offered that information to me, to which I said, "Well, thanks, I guess."
It's just a PSA for all the parents out there. Those umps make like $8 an hour. Let's not.
I
yell at
didn't
them.
yell at him.
I said it's a PSA. It's a PSA.
I didn't do that. All I said was, "Okay, thanks. I'd rather you just not tell me that."
That man cost you some aluminum rings right
did.
there.
I did.
All right, take 2.
We're out here competing.
Take 2. Is there any silver lining in the Julio situation for the Falcons, there, fellas?
No, we talked about this in the first segment. There's no silver lining, like, and unless like you get a team to give you something absurd, where they give you like 2 first-round picks or something like that for Julio, then yeah, that's a silver lining. But that's not going to happen. The reality is, the most you're looking at is maybe a second and a player, and that would be a steal as of right now for the Falcons. But you're not getting better by getting rid of Julio Jones. So no, as the first major contract move you have to make with your franchise, you have to get rid of the greatest wide receiver it's ever had. There's no silver lining.
there's some silver lining. It means you're one step closer to salary cap solvency at some point. That's about it. So that would be the silver lining for me. Certainly because, again, as I said earlier in the show, under normal circumstances, there would never be a conversation ever, period, about trading Julio Jones. It wouldn't happen. But you got to do it. So
I think even all the other silver linings have been erased now that it appears Julio Jones won it out anyway. So it's not even like, oh, look, they're getting rid of our favorite guy and he wants to stay and be a part of. No,
but then he won out once he knew,
out.
like, hey, it's pretty clear somebody's got to go, and it's either going to be me or
No,
Matt
Julio
Ryan.
doesn't care about the Falcons salary cap. Julio,
I'm just saying, but if he knows, it's one of those things like, you can't fire me, I quit. Well, obviously you're going to have to trade somebody. Why don't I just go out preemptively and say, hey, hit me up. I'm open to it.
I think it's one of those things where Julio said, I don't know if I want to be a part of the rebuilding project. I got a few more years left.
Maybe.
Let me go hang out with A-Rod in Green Bay.
But
or
if you know
Lamar.
what's going to happen anyway, why not just come out and say, hey, I went to them and said, yeah, that's fine.
Because you give a good faith, you say like you want to allow them to keep working behind the scenes, which
Yeah.
I mean, reports are coming out now that Julio's agent called old Fox Sports and said, "The hell was that?"
Yeah.
And so maybe we have some more coming from
There
that
might be
soon.
some more problems with Julio Jones. And,
Yeah.
Well, not Julio Jones, but
The
Fox
NFL
and Shannon Sharp,
Fox,
yeah. Interesting.
I'd be that guy. Just be like, oh, you want to go get traded somewhere where you want? You go on the line, dude.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you do. Or what?
Well, no, I'm just saying, just for the public perception of your coaches.
Cool.
And your
I
GM.
publicly want something better than a second rounder. I'm going here, going to the lines, big dog. Sorry. And you wanted out of here too. You didn't believe in a rebuilding process enough. You're out of here, man.
Go rebuilding Detroit.
Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead
Houston.
to a real rebuild out there.
I don't know if
Detroit
Houston has
biting
any-
kneecaps.
I don't know if
and stuff. Go
Houston
ahead.
has any first rounders left, but you're heading to Houston
Oh yeah, that sucks. Yeah, we're getting a fourth rounder for you, and
and a running back.
actually we're gonna take all the cap hit just because we want you to go there. Okay, take three.
Wow, that could just be petty.
On today's exactly what this is pettiness. On today's date in 1983, the only
1993, actually.
1980 through 1993. Okay, so I was alive. You were alive. You were not.
I was 1 year old.
You were okay.
No, I wasn't even one yet.
Young. Jose Canseco's head gave up the most
You're reading
hilarious
that right,
home
Cody.
run of all time. I don't know this. What? Head gave up the most hilarious home run of all time.
Yes.
What is the funniest
You really
moment
not
in
know
sports
this?
history? I had no idea.
He was
amazing.
playing for Tampa Bay and
No,
against
he's
the
playing for
Rangers.
playing for
He
the
was playing for the Rangers.
Yeah.
And someone hit a fly ball to deep right field. And as he went up to field it, doink off his head over the fence. Home run.
No.
Yes, it was
I'm gonna have to.
unbelievable.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
No, it's truly amazing. Meathead Jose Canseco, who's now like boxing people for money. Yeah, just the ball bouncing off of his head. No, I mean, funniest moment in sports, Kevin. It's such an amazingly tough question because there have been so many funny moments. I mean, I still think one of the funniest moments to me was Ron Artest and Steven Jackson. Now the fact that they went into the crowd and Malice at the Palace, like that. I mean, that's still hilarious. But the fact that Steven Jackson said when they went back into the locker room, Ron Artest, also known as Meta World Peace, looked over at him and said, "Think we're gonna get in trouble for that?"
No, it'd be fine.
That's fine.
Everything's just pretend it never happened.
Yeah,
It'll
what
be.
about it?
That's the funniest.
I mean, to me,
I have
I'm
a pretty
judging
good
you on
story.
that.
what's your funniest, Cody?
When the two Gators players were blocking each other, that was hilarious.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
In the Georgia Southern upset over them.
The butt fumble was really funny too.
Butt fumble's amazing.
Yeah, it's a timeless masterpiece. You know how they're selling like original like copies of like videos now?
Yeah.
I'd place a bid on the butt fumble video.
I think it's out there everywhere now, so it probably wouldn't be.
No.
very high.
This is what they're doing now. There are videos that are out there on the internet and everything, but the original copies of the videos are going for like there was one that just went like $120,000. I would pay
You're talking
good
about
you go.
NFTs.
$10 for
You're
it.
about-
NFTs.
NFTs.
NFTs. Yep.
I don't understand that at all. It's like,
So
we
with
can-
any
we
of
can-
these funny moments, would you pay for the NFT? Would you?
no, there's no NFT. I
You
would
don't love them
There's
enough.
no take 3.1 either.
Yes, and there's no NFT I would pay for. The funniest moments in sports are usually when bad things happen. Like
This is
watching
true
the
though.
like watching the Freeze beat people, and the guy's like pimping before he gets there, and then he falls down and face plants. Like that stuff's funny. Like that's great. I enjoy that. I think there was one from back in the day. It was a Sports Center highlight of the Moose in Seattle. The Seattle Mariners mascot is roller skating through the outfield and like hits the wall and breaks his ankle. And the announcer is like losing it, and the poor Moose is just laying there like, eh. So
Yeah.
it's like
That one,
that
a lot
kind
of
of
people
stuff is
put
funny. It's a fake mascot, obviously, but yeah, that kind of stuff is or when like they run Ralphie onto the field at at Colorado games.
Oh,
where
and
it's like
the
10 dudes
Cowboys just lose it.
holding on for dear life, and then like one of them falls down, is like just grabbing onto this thing, trying to.
I don't know. There's a few Nick Saban ones in there and Kirby Smart ones. I'd say Nick Saban. I mean, number one, running his kicker into Christian Wilkins on a sneak in the national championship game is freaking hilarious. The fact that he called a timeout and challenged for the extra second to be put back on the clock in the kick six is unbelievable, because he thought, maybe they'll punt and I'll be able to get a punt return here or block a field goal, something bad will happen. There's no way they hit this. It's unbelievable. And then Kevin, Kirby Smart, Justin Fields, the punt that wasn't a punt that Justin Fields decided was going to be a sneak. Amazing.
Or what's the one when the high school, not the high school, but the cheerleaders walking past and they're breaking through the tarp thing, and she gets obliterated. That was
Is that funny, Cody, or did she get hurt?
Oh yeah, if anybody gets hurt, dude,
I just don't think it's amazing that Nick Saban got that extra second, try to kick a field goal, and the rest is history.
Came back to backfire. Yeah, no, there's a lot of. That's why you watch sports, because you get the unexpected each and every night. A home run off a dude's head is certainly. That's hard to top, actually. When you
do you just hear the Sports Center not top 10?
Like Jose Canseco standing there like, there's nowhere to hide. He's just standing there like, yeah, that really happened. My bad, guys.
He's like, I guess I gotta get on a plane and go hang out with Madonna later. We'll see you.
Apparently now you can go like camping with.
No,
Jose.
you don't go camping with him. You go like Bigfoot hunting with Jose Canseco.
That's even better.
And it's very sketchy.
You and Jose in the outback.
It's very sketchy. It's like, you call my guy, we meet at this gas station, and we'll go into the woods together, and we'll hunt Sasquatch.
Wait, you're hunting Sasquatch or are you hunting him?
No,
Yeah.
you're hunting Bigfoot with Jose
okay.
Canseco. Now, if I have to imagine, Jose Canseco is probably dressed up like an action hero from the 80s in it, like a bandana with a knife on his bicep.
like Rambo or something
Yeah.
with like a green tank top.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I'm spending a good
Cargo
50 bucks
pants,
on
those tan cargo pants with some boots.
that. And some eye black.
Yeah, we're going to get it.
after it.
Sasquatch. We're going.
We're coming. I'll see if they give group rates. We'll get us signed up.
Let's do it. I think Sasquatch hunting with Jose Canseco sounds like a great segment for the show. We'll come back.
How did Kevin die?
Yeah, it wasn't by Sasquatch. We'll come back. That's Take 3. You do it every day. This time it's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out on this Wednesday. Kevin Thomas, the Christian Gokel here, filling in for BJ and Ben and doing an admirable job, I might say.
Admirable job.
Yes.
I appreciate that. That's what you say about somebody who's like just got called up from the minors and having to fill in for an all-pro. Like it's tough.
Well, what happened? I mean,
So I'm doing an admirable job.
but what happened? We did have to call you up, step you in.
Wow. All right.
Called
So
you up
you're-
from second
So this,
down.
yeah, I'm about to say this is like the second time you guys have referred to second down as like the small show. It's cool. It's cool. We'll just keep doing bigger numbers than you guys on the
No, we'll
video
have to-
streams. It's cool.
We'll have to.
You know, Cody, we have the airtime, but we do more views than they do. So, what's up?
Hey, gang, McDonald. What's up?
Yeah, what's up?
What's up?
What's up?
This is second down,
What's up?
just with the 3 and outer on it. What's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
you
whatever.
are, you're sitting over there, Kevin, mighty outnumbered.
Mm-hmm.
Still in the lead.
I was a
chair.
little surprised that you asked him to come on 3 and out. I was like, is that under you, Christian? Is that,
Sometimes you just got to give back to your community.
Okay.
Well, I'll sign the paper and let you know when you're out of your service to 3 and out. But that
Yeah.
being said, obviously it's a fun time to be a Atlanta sports fan with a lot.
Is it?
Yes.
Because
It is.
Julio's dominating, and it hurts.
Well, you got the Hawks with a chance to go up 2-0 tonight. The Braves going to go over 500 tonight.
I love that that's what the metric is for. It's a good time to be an Atlanta sports
It is.
fan.
Look,
Our
they've won-
baseball team's 500, baby.
And they're still going to make the postseason and be just fine. So,
Wow.
but all that aside, the future is bright. You've got some young stars, Calvin Ridley. I think if you want to say silver lining, maybe that is part of it, is that you see Calvin Ridley emerge as maybe a star around the National Football League in in expanded role. Trae Young, 22, obviously making his presence felt in the NBA playoffs. And, of course, Ronald Acuna, just 23, and he and Freddie Freeman lead the majors in home run. I mean, they're just – well, I don't think you can say anything else that hasn't already been said about Ronald Acuna at this point. But Atlanta obviously on the verge of having some pretty good young stars that should be in the ATL for quite some time.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thought with this segment, Kevin, is I was trying to remember the last time, if ever, Atlanta has had 3 burgeoning stars like this that are all under 30, right? Because the example I put in there was like maybe Mike Vick, Joe Johnson, and Chipper Jones, right? But Chipper Jones by that time was well into his career with the Atlanta Braves, whereas my thought with this is you have a super bright future, right? Ronald Acuna is already a superstar in Major League Baseball, but he's just 23 years old. So he has at least another decade of dominance in front of him. Trae Young, he just had his first postseason experience, is only 22 years old and did something that only LeBron James had done in his postseason debut, going 30, 10, and 5. And then, yeah, Calvin Ridley, I think you've been, I mean, I don't want to say in the shadow of Julio Jones because Calvin Ridley has been really good, but
he has been.
But Julio Jones is in front of him, and now he has a chance to be the guy and kind of mentor Kyle Pitts coming up with the Falcons. So, yeah, I think it's tough letting a guy like Julio Jones go after a decade plus of service with your city. But I just think as Atlanta sports fans, you should be grateful because you got to know the next decade is going to be really fun.
Sure. And again, you have bright young stars that should be around for a long, long time. And yeah, I think Chipper, Mike Vick, that might not be. I mean, Chipper came in the mid-90s, so I guess he was kind of already established, but
Yeah, he's already he was well into his
you're giving it to
career by
guys
then.
like, I mean, Ronald Acuna's kind of established himself. I mean, even at 23, I mean, people forget he's been in the league for, this is what, his 4th season already in Major League Baseball. So I do think it's right. I certainly think, given the history of losing by a lot of the sports franchises, now certainly the Braves changed that narrative in the 90s through the early 2000s and are starting to get to there again. But I mean, the Falcons have been a historical losing franchise. The Hawks have, kind of the joke was, when's the last time they drafted a guy in the first round that actually
They
worked?
traded Dominique during the middle of the season while they were in first place. Like, yeah, it's the Hawks, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's been hard to find what you're talking about, where kind of the stars align and it all merged together as one triumvirate, where you have 3 pretty good sized stars all in the very early stages of their career at the same time. And I really think, again, if Julio's gone, I think Calvin really has a chance to step up and really make a name for himself as an Atlanta Falcon. So Acuna's already there. I think Trae Young certainly.
He's
I mean,
pushing.
you can't argue that he is becoming the most widely known Hawk. I think if you asked before the season, people say Trae Young, John Collins, like, they got some good players. I think unquestionably he is stepping to the forefront as far as like the most recognizable sports figure with the Atlanta Hawks. So yeah, man, should be an exciting time coming up if these guys continue to play at the level they are and certainly still in the ascension of their careers.
And the other cool thing about it too, and not necessarily the case with Calvin Ridley, because I think in a couple of years you're going to have to start working on his future with his contract, but Ronald Acuna is locked up for the foreseeable future. The same with Trae Young, still on his deal. So, I mean, you have these guys for at least the next few years. You don't have to have that worry of, am I going to be watching Ronald Acuna in a Yankees uniform in 3 years? Like, no, he's going to be in Atlanta for the foreseeable future.
Why would you even speak that?
It's a nightmare. It's nightmare fuel right there. But I think it's going to be fun. But just going back to the past, like you said, I guess you go like mid 2010s or early 2010s. You had Roddy White, Julio Jones, Matt Ryan with the Falcons. You had the Upton brothers with the Atlanta Braves. I mean, and you had the Hawks with like Carroll and Josh Smith and Joe Johnson. But I don't know that Josh Smith, Joe Johnson, or Carroll, any of those guys were at the superstar level that I think Trae Young can reach.
No, I think depending on how
BJ Upton, Melvin Upton, any of them.
Same guy.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to say. BJ Upton, Melvin Upton, his brother. Like, I don't think any of them were the star level of Ronald Acuna.
No, not even close.
Like the Braves haven't had somebody like that since Chipper, I think.
As a position player, I would say you're absolutely correct. Obviously, the Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz era was pretty good as far as like just well known throughout the sport, megastars. But position player wise, no, haven't had that since. As good as Freddie Freeman is, he's kind of the quiet superstar. Sure. I mean, there's times where you would look around and people would say, "Oh, let me tell you about first baseman," and it would always be, Paul Goldschmidt,
right,
Anthony Rizzo, and you're going, there's a dude that consistently hits over 300 and hits home runs.
Well, yeah,
in Atlanta, but he doesn't say
Freddie
anything.
Freeman played first baseman for the Cubs or for the Yankees is a completely different story. But
right,
yeah.
but I'm saying, like, I think just within the last year has Freddie Freeman kind of got the national recognition for the player he is, if that makes any sense, because I think his story coming in was he got COVID right before the season last year, was obviously really sick with it, and came back and had one of the best seasons he has ever had and led that team, won the MVP. And I think that kind of elevated him in the mind of Major League Baseball fans, like, hey, Freddie Freeman's like really good. Like, yeah,
everyone else talks about him as like, oh, he's an amazing defensive first baseman, right, but he doesn't hit for power.
But he does, and that's the thing. So
like a 300 batting average.
I think but nothing has been quite as, I don't know a word to describe, but as electric as Ronald Acuna. He comes on the scene, he plays with flair, he can do it in the outfield. I think a lot of it has to do with, boom, right out of the gate, he is hitting home runs in the leadoff spot. He's been a lightning rod for, don't take this word the wrong way, a lightning rod for controversy in that he gets hit a lot. Yep. Obviously, you had the showdown with the Marlins where you have a young guy.
Jose Urena.
Right, where you have a young guy. I think Ronald Acuna's in like year 2 at that point. Hits the big grand slam against the Dodgers. Urena's plunking him 2 or 3 times. The Braves got to have that feud. They're like, all this over a guy who's in his second year. Yes. And I think he has been on a lightning trajectory to stardom, whereas now people are saying it's, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Ronald Acuna, they're all kind of in that same mix. For potentially the best player in Major League Baseball. So you have, I don't know that you've kind of had that. Now, Calvin Ridley's kind of the outlier in this, and that he's got to take that step.
If you want to replace Calvin Ridley, could you say Kyle Pitts in there? Because from everything we heard from the draft,
not as a rookie. I don't think you could say, hey, he's young megastar, because again, where's the level set? He comes in, he's going to have like 17 touchdowns or something, or if he goes for 500-600 yards. 5-6 touchdowns, are people going to say, yeah, I thought he kind of did more.
I think I'm at the point with Kyle Pitts, especially now that it appears like Julio's going to be moving on, that if he goes for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns, that's a disappointing rookie season.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, is the kind of bar set for Kyle Pitts of like, it better be outlandish or we're not there yet as the megastar. That's what you kind of put those other guys in a category of. And sure. I think Calvin Ridley, out of the shadow of Julio Jones, is really going to shine because obviously he'll get a lot more number one opportunities. Things that you rely on your number one receiver to do, they're now going to be coming to him. And I think he's going to step up in a big way. And I think it could be said if Calvin Ridley was the number one on. I mean, people said this about Mohamed Sanu. If he was on another team, he probably would be a more high-profile receiver, but he's not. He's on the Falcons. He's the number 2. So I think Calvin Ridley's going to really shine here in 2021.
Agreed.
Got more to come here. 3 and Out. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. At Pigskin Radio. We are streaming ESPNCoastal.com on your mobile device with the ESPN app. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Christian Gokel filling in for BJ and Ben as Braves coming up a little bit later tonight with the game 2 with the Boston Red Sox. No Marcell Ozuna. Braves have not said anything, Christian, but if you're just joining us, Marcell Ozuna put out an Instagram post which basically said, I'll see you in 6 weeks. So
Yeah, not the big bear, man.
Put Kung Fu Panda out there. Everybody seems
Yeah,
to like.
you want to put Kung Fu Panda in left field, Kevin?
I don't know.
It's going to be an infield
Are there-
inside
are
the
there-
park
are
home
anything-
run
are there
every
anything-
time.
Is there? Well, you can play third. Is there anything better than watching him run around the bases? I did see that yesterday.
Man.
Someone hit a shot. He was on second, hit a shot to the outfield. It's like, and here comes Penn, and you're like, you can see him just like coming around the bases. Like, I don't know if he's gonna.
What would be
make
the
it.
best word to describe him running? Because I've heard like
Lumbering.
chugging, trucking around the bases.
I don't know if trucking is a good.
No, what was one?
Plotting. That'd be a good one.
Trotting.
No, plotting.
No, trotting and plotting.
Hey, if you hit the ball hard enough, you don't have to run fast, right?
Efforting. Like he's just
He is like a defensive tackle trying to get around the bases. Though.
no, what it looks like is when a quarterback throws a pick six and you see like the one tackle like that just like tries to make it look good so he can tell his coach, like, I ran through the play, man. I ran. I was 30 yards behind the
yeah.
DB, but I ran that whole play.
I never gave up.
That's what
I need
Panda
the
looks like,
oxygen
man.
mask now, but I never gave up.
And look, I know he went 3 for 4 yesterday, but I still like the thought of him just charging on the bench for when you need him to pinch in the 8th inning.
Again,
He's in the lineup again today.
is there a better gig right now, though, in sports than being Panda? you just-
Backup quarterback for Matt Ryan.
You sit on the bench, you watch baseball, guys hit home runs, you say, hey, come here, bring it in for the real thing.
That's a lot,
You're
of,
up-
that's a
you
lot of
go-
hugs.
You go up there and you get your 2-3 cuts.
No, because you said Kansas City backup. Kansas City backup, Chad Henne had to get in and win the dang playoff game against the Browns. No, you don't want to play. That's the point of having the best job in
Yeah.
sports is you want to be a backup for
Yeah.
a guy who always plays.
Kung Fu Panda sits the bench and watches baseball and gets paid for it. He goes up there, takes 2-3 cuts at a baseball, either hits
No,
it
but
over
see,
the
that's
fence,
too
goes
much
out, and he
playing.
goes and sits down.
That's too much playing and too much pressure. I want to be
On him? No,
I
it's
want to do
not.
it. I want to do what Matt Schaub did for half his career, which is just sit behind Matt Ryan. I get to go out there. I don't even like. People think I have shoulder pads on. I really don't.
Nah.
I'm just there with my jersey on, holding a clipboard.
They're like, you like shove the donut boxes under there. It's
Matt,
like, look at these things.
Matt, that was a hell of a throw right there, man.
Yes.
Hey, great throw, buddy. What do you need?
You're the first one to greet him with the iPad. It's like, Matt, they were in cover 2 right there, buddy. And here's what you did.
Yeah, they rocked into palms there. You see where Julio was wide open there. You should have thrown it
Yeah.
to him, but you didn't. But no, yeah,
I would have
shot.
thrown it there, but since you play all the time, then I'll just let you deal with it.
Yeah, man. Hey, but listen, if I was in there, that's a touchdown. But Matt, you killed that. Keep it up, buddy. Don't get hurt. You see where that defensive end got really close to your ankles there? Don't let that happen.
I know back at the end of his career, Mark Brunell was getting like $3 million to be a backup for Drew Brees and the Saints. And all he had to do was hold the clipboard. And then when Drew threw a touchdown, run out on the field and hold the ball so they could kick the extra point. And that's it.
And then you do the whole Uncle Rico kind of like excuses too. Well, man, if they would have put me in the fourth quarter,
That's it.
You would've won it all, yeah.
championship.
Yeah.
That's it.
If you want to win, put Schaub in.
That, or I'd say
Okay.
caddy. Caddy for like a really good golfer.
Like Tiger Woods. Like at what point when Tiger's up like 10 at the Masters, you're like, hey, Tiger, I think I'd hit 6-iron here.
And he's
He
like,
just gives you a
"Shut
look
up."
like,
You're
what?
All right,
I'm just playing, man. Here, hit whatever you want. I don't care.
dude, I got your back. You need. What
I
do you
still
need?
get my 10%, right? We got more to come. 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network.